Dive into the chaos, here we go. Social media lunacy steals the show. Crazy sin just means wrapped up tight. Scroll through the madness every night.
Hello people, today we are going to be talking about ReviewTechUSA. Now, ReviewTechUSA is someone who I've known about for a long time because I watched him way back when he was doing tech videos and video game videos, because back in, I want to say 2009, when I first got on the internet, I was always looking for different game reviewers and different gaming channels. And that's how I stumbled upon him. And I remember him for his intro, the skibidi doodop babop thing. Like, that was always how I remembered him. When I watched his channel, it was before his face reveal. So I had no idea what the guy looked like. And just like the Will It Blend guy and Mike Mozart, he kind of just slipped from my mind with better channels coming around for the past like 15 years. So when I stumbled upon him again last year or the year before, when I was on my hiatus from the internet, and I heard that he was starting stuff with Darkside Phil and the Darkside Phil community, I'm like, what the hell happened to this guy? This guy was like a gamer, and now he's doing this stuff. So apparently he had like a massive fall off, and I'm gonna let Futon talk mostly about this because he's more knowledgeable about Phil and about the people around Phil. But when we get to the Kino Casino related stuff, I'll start talking again more, just because I've been heavily looking into the Kino Casino stuff for like the past 2 years. Whenever I was on lunch breaks at work, I would watch the Kino Casino stuff with Review Tech. I've been keeping up with this nonstop. So you can talk about all the older stuff and how he descended into this, and then I'll get the newer stuff.
Sup, you beautiful bastards. Oh wait, that's someone else. I'm Futon Revolution. And if we go back, one of the problems with ReviewTechUSA is that he never reviewed tech in the USA or anywhere else. His big thing was just kind of just spouting stuff off the top of his head, and like he would get things so wrong that even the CEO of PlayStation had to go on and tell him that he's wrong.
Oh yeah, wasn't he saying something about like the PlayStation wouldn't be able to be the PlayStation 4 wouldn't be in HD or something?
Mm-hmm.
Something like that. He was saying something about like he didn't understand how online play would work, and he didn't understand like the resolutions of the console and the FPSs of the console. So he just straight up made up shit. And it was so idiotic that the PlayStation, the fucking guy leading PlayStation had to be like, "You're dumb. That's not how it works."
Yeah, he like straight up called him stupid.
Yeah. I remember that. I remember that from years ago. That was back when everyone was freaking out over the PlayStation 4. It was originally not going to have a disc slot, and people were freaking out about that. So I remember that.
And that's even carried over to modern day Rich, because like one of the ones recently was where he spent weeks and weeks and weeks working on the scripted video finally, because that's what people were begging for, and it was going to be all about retro. And so he finally comes out with it, and it's just awful, and he's talking about all this stuff from before he was even born.
Oh, I tried watching that when it was still up. He ended up deleting it, but I remember it, and I had to tap out because the whole time he was letting whole commercials play out, like the entirety of an old commercial from like Atari or something. For each segment, he'd just let the whole commercial play, and I was just like, no, I'm not fucking watching this, because most of the time I don't watch videos. I have them playing while I'm working on something or while I'm at work, because most places that I work at will let you listen to stuff. And I could not deal with every time an Atari or Sega commercial started up or something, and then I'd have to hear that for minutes on end.
Yeah, as he's gotten higher and higher over the years, with his drug use just escalating, his dead air has been like, dead air Kemosabe kind of thing, really just awful. And so he just sits and lets things run, and he just doesn't understand that he needs to do some sort of commentary in there. It's like when you're commenting on Darkside Phil streams, you have to stop the stream and talk for a while, so that when you get back into the stream, you have your what we call skip juice of trying to get forward past, when he starts doing scat jokes or whatever, so that you have room to skip past it to laugh at him begging again or whatever else.
Well, that's the thing that I'm curious about, because you know more about Phil than I do. People have said that he's covered Phil consistently off and on for decades, and I didn't know that. I thought that he started covering Phil back during when Phil was caught masturbating, and that was like the first time I remember him talking about Phil.
That was when he first started going really over the edge with it, where he was selling merchandise of Phil's O-Face.
Yeah, I remember that was like a huge controversy.
Yeah, and like Phil never did anything about it, which was crazy. It's like when Boogie tried to make merchandise of him shooting at a church instead of Frank Castle, where Frank Castle got him to stop because it was Frank Castle's footage, and so Boogie had to like recreate the shot himself. So it's like Phil should have made a ton of money off of Rich for it, but he's just, that's one of the things with Lol Cowdum, is just complete laziness.
Well, Phil will go out of his way to stop some people. I just think that he thinks that Review Tech is such an irrelevant bum that he didn't need to. Because, if I'm not mistaken, Phil went after the LolCow trading card game and a Darkside Phil themed video game, and had them change it to be legally distinct enough to not get like a complaint from him, because he was complaining to them.
Yeah, he usually puts someone onto it, and it's recently it's Superhound. Over the past couple of years, this guy named Superhound is the one who does all the strikes for him. It's kind of like this adopted role, kind of like how Yandere Dev used to have the Cleveland rock guys.
Yeah, the Jannies.
And after Cleveland left, it was that freak, what's his name? The one who had sex with the girl who accused Yandere Dev of grooming.
We need to do a video on Yandere Dev later. I haven't talked about that guy in years.
Oh, you used to talk to him?
Oh, no, I was one of the top people who shit on him. Like, I had a video that had, like, I want to say over 100,000 views on him, back when, like, not a lot of people were hating on him. And, it is theorized, back when I had a big audience, they pointed this out to me. You know his video where he talks about, like, gremlins and stuff, and he like defends himself? Well, he has a clip of a YouTuber in that, and he makes like a personification of a YouTuber who like bullies him, and the YouTuber looks just like my avatar, especially the one I'm using right now, except for it had blonde hair. That was like the only difference, is that it had blonde hair. And because people kept pointing that out to me, my audience took on the name Gremlin Squad, and they were seen as gremlins for a while because of Yandere Dev. But let's not get completely off track with Yandere Dev shit.
What I loved was that people didn't know it was you. They kept thinking it was Pyrocynical.
People thought it was Pyrocynical, and people thought it was a couple other guys too. but it heavily resembles my avatar, especially because my guy usually has like a jacket and sunglasses on, and like he copied one of my character poses almost to a T with that artwork. So it was most likely either intended to be me or some type of amalgamation of me. He commented on my videos, so he knew who I was. He sent me privacy complaints, and then when I laughed at him on Twitter, he got mad and blocked me. Yeah, he was sending privacy complaints all the time, and he fucking added YouTube on Twitter, and he was like, can you take down this video? It's sharing private information of mine, just because I called him Xena Ephron or whatever his name was. But anyway, back to Review Tech. I know Review Tech is so boring, we'd rather talk about anybody else, but...
Sorry, there's so much stuff with Yandere Dev that no one has really said that's always bugged me, but that's a tale for another day. Yeah, Rich has gotten really boring the more drugs that he's consumed. I think the drugs first start of when he blinded his daughter.
So, I actually get to talk quite a bit here about this because back when I first started having my mental issues, I was doing different marijuana products to try to counter my symptoms that I was having and try to mellow myself out, which it was a horrible decision, and my doctors later said that that doesn't help. But I tried the weed seltzers, and they are absolutely terrible. It is like the worst thing you've ever tasted. And to make it even more terrible, when you first start drinking them, if you drink too many of them, you will get horrible shits. Like, you will end up having to use the bathroom constantly with those stupid weed drinks because it's THC going directly into your system. Doing too much THC via consumption will make you have to shit a lot. So I can only imagine with how many he's slamming down, it tastes terrible, and he has to shit for like hours because he'll sit there and he'll slam these down over and over and over again. Now,
it explains that weird sitting posture that he has.
Yeah,
where he looks just like the South Park Warcraft player.
it can explain all the gas he has too. Like, he's been like burping and farting all the time because he's fucking disgusting. And it could explain that too. When it comes
he plays it off that he's making fun of Phil's burping and snorting.
Yeah.
But no. That's just him.
I doubt he can control it at this point. But when it comes to the weed gummies and the vapes, I would say that the vapes are the most tolerable, and he could probably balance himself out just fine if he was only doing the vapes. But with how much of the vapes he does, it's probably not healthy. And when it comes to the weed gummies, I would consume half to a quarter of a gummy per day just to mellow myself out. And he will sit there and eat a whole bag. I do not know what the dosage per gummy is, but that is just insane. He is eating enough weed to knock out a fucking elephant. And I do not know how he is existing. And of course, it has been slowing down his brain, and it's basically been frying him, because weed may not be deadly, but weed does affect like the way your brain functions, and enough weed over time can permanently impact how you think and how you handle situations. And he has just completely, literally fried his brain on weed. Like, some people try to downplay just how much marijuana he's doing. Like, I was heavy into marijuana at one point, and I have 2 friends who are in the professional marijuana like salesman industry, because medicinal is legal here. So you can trust me when I say that he's doing way too much of the medical marijuana. And now he is calling it medical marijuana to try to downplay just how much he's doing.
Akumu would have a fit.
Oh yeah, that's why Review Tech gets away with everything, because he did medical marijuana. He's like 100 pounds soaking wet.
Um, so with him blinding his daughter, I don't really want to go into specifics because I don't like, talking about people's families. But it's like his daughter had a type of eye infection. And according to him, he followed the doctor's instructions. And he either bungled it, or the instructions were bad, or he should have gotten a second opinion. But his daughter ended up blinded. And so she's got a ton of problems. And there's a very infamous stream where his mother, because he moved his parents into the house, and the condition for his parents moving in was that they were going to own the place and he was going to move out, but he never moved out. And so he has his mother taking care of his daughter. And this one stream, his mother comes in and she starts begging Rich to go up and take care of his daughter, who you can hear crying in the background.
Well, for a little bit of context, you originally couldn't hear much of anything, but Andy Worski at Kino Casino enhanced the audio. So the version you hear now online that everyone is playing, it is the version that Andy Worski enhanced. And that was posted, like, I want to say a year ago, and people are only just now really picking up on it. It sadly didn't get into the Rich documentary, but yeah, it's old audio. Like, this has been known for a while.
Yeah, even at the time, people were very upset because, like, when he's telling his mother, no, I'm in the middle of the stream, I can't do it. And then he turns to the camera and he's like, oh, people are going to clip that.
Yeah,
it's
he's like, thanks, Mom.
Yeah, it's like, well, it doesn't take a genius to figure out how to handle this on stream. You just put on a quick clip and you go take care of your daughter and you come back.
By the way, he has shared custody, so he doesn't even have the kids that often. It's rarely ever that he actually has the kids, and he still doesn't want to take care of them for the few days that he actually has them.
Well, he's got the Dropbox.
Oh yeah. So to talk about the Dropbox thing, back when Kino Casino was really going into Rich, they were going to do a video called Dickers Exposed, and we can explain what Dickers means in a bit, but they were doing a stream called Dickers Exposed for talking to a minor, and this was going to refer to a little Gestapo that he used to have, but he thought that it meant that Andy Worski had gotten into his Dropbox. So he high off his ass on the marijuana stuff, which I can attest, it does impact your judgment. Him high on marijuana, he went to his Dropbox but didn't turn off his VPN. So he thought that someone had actually hacked into his Dropbox. So he
He said that he had dropped his phone into a bag.
Oh yeah.
They accidentally hit the
that's later
verification.
Cope. That's Cope from later. But continuing the story, he's high off his ass looking through his Dropbox, and he's terrified. So he starts up a stream at the same time that Kino Casino was going to go live, and he starts telling people this insane story about how he got a notification on his phone about someone trying to get into his Dropbox, and he took out a burner phone to reject the offer to let them in, and it fell into a Best Buy bag, and then it accidentally approved the user to get in.
I hate it when that happens.
That was his real cope. So he admitted to having a burner phone specifically to get into the Dropbox, and then he comes up with a crazy cope for that. So he all of a sudden just starts telling people what's in the Dropbox, like his taxes. Vosh can relate. And then he also mentions that his ex-wife's daughters, who were not his daughters, they had their phones linked to his account, and it had sent pictures of them in bikinis over to his account. Now, he had not been with that wife for a bit now. He had plenty of time to delete those photos. He had plenty of time to clean the Dropbox. He had plenty of time to do anything about this. But not only did he not delete the photos, he was worried about people finding the photos and accusing him of stuff. So this is why this whole situation is sus. And then he accuses Andy Worski, notorious idiot online, no offense to Andy Worski, but he's not the smartest person, of being a super hacker who was able to break into his Dropbox and expose stuff. But we never got Rich's tax stuff, which people would have loved to have known how broke he was at the time. We never got any of Rich's porn stuff, which people definitely would have made fun of. We never got the Dropbox of the minors proving that he was into that stuff, which if a Kiwi found it, they would have posted it. So it was obvious that Rich, high off his ass, got on his Dropbox with a VPN and ended up self-reporting for no reason. So Kino Casino...
Well, Kino Casino said that they had something, and they, big thing revealed tonight.
Yeah.
And they didn't have anything.
It was just that kid that used to work
Rich
for
popped
him.
out and just revealed all this stuff, just assuming that they had it.
They switched the show on the spot and started watching his stream of him high off his ass coping about this. And he ends up calling his ex-wife and getting her to confirm, or someone he says is his ex-wife at least, that the photos were synced over to his device and that there's nothing sus about it, that he still has the photos.
The only person who's done a worse ex-wife call was Boogie.
So...
But to go back to how we got here with his transition, he had numerous scams and doxings of people, of just intimidating people for absolutely no reason.
And it was the most minor people that he was doxing. Like a guy named ReviewTechUSA and a guy called like ReviewTechChina. Like people who were like doing the most mundane shit. Like I've seen lolcows have a lot worse like copycats and imposters and stuff. He was getting really light tier shit, and he felt the need to go out of his way and dox them and harass them and threaten them.
And then when we finally got Big Cheese, ripped the guy off for $200, and for no reason, all he had to do is promote the guy's videos, and he didn't. And just really just stupid and just needless is the typical very lolcow behavior from early on. And so as the drugs get worse, as the family gets worse, and everything's just building over the years, and he's just picking on DSP over and over and over just to, just because it's the one guy who's lower than him. And he just sits there and he's not even commenting, it's just a stream watch.
Yeah, he'll just sit there for hours, not even giving any opinions on DSP. He'll just sit there and burp and fart and play the clap sound effect over and over and over again. And he thinks that's content.
Mm-hmm. And that leads into the thing that ruined so many lolcows, which is Twitter. So he goes on there and he gets it in his head that he is the #1 DSP detractor, and he starts doing like, if there's a tier list, I am the top one right next to Tevin. And everyone's like, what are you talking about? There is no tier list, Sons of Kojima have been dead for years. And
yeah.
So it's like an anarchist playground now, because if you try to make any sort of organization, everyone will attack and try to bring it down, because no one wants a Sons of Kojima to build up again.
Trolling organizations are so fucking lame, and if we do end up doing a video on this later, I'd love to talk about it. The losers, these are the last group of people to have a trolling organization that I know of. The people who trolled Daniel Larson, and they trolled that guy so hard that he ended up getting sent to a federal prison. He is like in a terrorist prison with Jared Fogle now. because of a trolling group. And this is the type of people that the loser who reviews fucking video games on YouTube wants to get mixed up in and claim that he's a part of. Like, why would you ever want to pretend like you're a #1 troll, ever? Trolls are known to do some really fucked up and illegal shit. Like, real trolls.
It's, yeah, it gets there. I mean, lucky for him with just picking on the DSP detractors, it's, one thing that people always say is, who cares if a Clipper channel is after you, what can they do? And, Review Tech is a good cautionary tale there. Because as he's going and as he's getting crazier, you're aware of Mike Klum, who did the Boogie documentary? So after he did that, he was making noises about doing a Dark Side Phil documentary. So he went to the guy's house, he met everyone, and then everyone starts pressing him on, what does his wife look like now, and all this. And we did eventually see her, and she doubled in size. It's just awful.
From what I understand is, it went a very similar way to a documentary that I was going to be involved in. I was involved in a Chris Chan documentary all the way back in 2019, and the documentary I was a part of fell apart in a different way, but it was the same thing of people just getting way too nosy, people trying to get way too involved, because the dummy ended up revealing to everyone that he had gotten an interview with Megan Schroeder, and it caused a lot of people to start harassing Megan. It caused a lot of people to start harassing him, and it got a lot of heat on the project. But then he paywalled the development of the documentary, even though it was all filmed, and people kept harassing him to such an extent to where he just destroyed the documentary, and we'll never see it now. I pulled out publicly from it, though, because I didn't approve of the paywall, so I ditched from that, because it was more shady than people knew. He was going to be giving everyone involved in the documentary royalties, and he was offering me royalties to be in it, and to use, my knowledge of fucking Chris Chan in it, and I wasn't okay with that, and I ended up pulling out of it.
Yeah, that's a good sign that it's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
It's like Rich was really, really invested in the Mike Klum documentary of Dark Side Phil, and because he was really hoping that he would be a big part of it. And when he has...
he deserves to be.
But
he fucking deserves to be a part of Phil's history.
But he is such a minor part. And the only thing that makes sense of having it related to Phil is that Phil is obsessed with Rich as well.
The only notable thing that Rich did to Phil is end up getting him to be a sometimes co-host on Kino Casino. That is the only notable thing that those two interacting have ever caused to happen. Because Kino Casino only wanted Phil on because of the fact that because
they hated
ReviewTech. Yeah, ReviewTech wanted Phil on. And ReviewTech was saying for years that he would do anything to have an interview with Phil. And every chance that he got, he fumbled it.
Yeah, Kino Casino is finally realizing that Phil isn't worth the effort. Everyone thinks that they're the special one that Phil will never betray. And, of course he was going to betray Mike Klum before the documentary even started.
Right now, him and Kino Casino are on good terms. He did another stream with them the other day where he was dressed up as a Ghostbuster. I thought it was a pretty good show.
It's gotten pretty bad since then. PPP has finally come out and said, recognizing people in the audience saying that Phil is boring, and he's going through there and he's saying, probably near the end of dealing with him. But Rich was going through it, Rich was convinced that he was going to be a big part of the documentary and that he was going to get a huge boost out of it. And then it was obviously not going to happen, and he started like playing off with this cope that, oh, it's not going to happen. I'm the only person who's predicting this when, anyone could tell you that.
Yeah.
And so the documentary falls through, and he is both sour grapes and wanting to go out and prove to everyone, oh, I was right the whole time. So he goes and he does this stupid little rant about, cry harder, Snort Hogan, cry harder, Hate Army. And those are two Clippers who are, I don't want to say vengeful, but they carry a grudge.
I like Snort. I like Snort Hogan. He's pretty funny. I watch his clips occasionally on Phil.
So Snort is big with Kino Casino. And so every time that he did a clip, that PPP was watching it. So the first thing that he does as soon as Rich is saying, oh, clipping channels, they can't do anything to hurt me. The first thing Snort does is release the stuff about him blinding his daughter.
Oh yeah, he starts clipping fucking Review Tech.
So Review Tech goes completely just melting down every time the Snort Hogan does anything. And so it goes from there, and he starts going just grasping at anything that he could. And one time, he gets a thread of someone floating out of, hey, I'm Pantsu, and I would love to give an interview. Pantsu is Ethan Ralph's ex-wife.
The horse, and yes.
Obviously, she's not going to be reaching out to Rich. There's no way that she even knows who Review Tech is. There's no point in approaching him. This would never happen. But he knows absolutely none of the lore. He's not interested in learning any of the lore. So he brings Pantsu on for an interview while he's completely out of his mind. High as hell. And you immediately realize that Pantsu is someone using a voice changer.
Was it at least convincing? Because I've had two different scenarios. Back in the day, I encountered this guy who sounded just like Mr. Medicare. Like, he was spot on. Like, he had a perfect impression of the guy. And because he couldn't post from Medicare's Twitter, I didn't believe it was him, but everybody on my show was like, add him on, and then, like, he immediately revealed that it wasn't him. But the other time is recently, I got into a call where there was someone using a voice-to-voice of Augie, and it was spot on. So was it at least to that tier, where, like, it sounded like Pantsu?
No, it sounded nothing like Pantsu.
She has a distinct way of talking, a very distinct way of talking.
But the troll is someone who gave Pantsu a gift one time. And Ethan Ralph claimed that this person was going to shoot her. Who do you think this troll was who called Rich?
I have no clue.
Jesse P.S.
Oh, is it because he went and did the finger guns? Is that why he said? Okay, yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, and Ethan Ralph was trying to say that Jesse was shooting up his house with the finger guns.
I know of Jesse P.S. He hopped onto my very first lolcow, Lunatic Leonard. Lunatic Leonard became the... what's it called? Something Joker.
The
Santa Cruz Joker. After I quit fucking with him, he became the Santa Cruz Joker. And he became like Jesse P.S.'s like main lolcow for a while. And the funny thing is about that, before we switch back to Review Tech, I told Lunatic Leonard so much that if he didn't take the lessons he learned from me, he was going to encounter someone who wasn't as nice as me, and they wouldn't back off when they felt bad for him. So he had that fucking coming. Yeah, I know
So-
who Jesse is.
oh.
He's pretty cool. I like his show.
So ReviewTech completely falls for Jesse PS doing this. And you can tell
Did he at
that it's
least do like
Jesse.
a woman voice? Because he does like wacky
Mhm.
voices.
Yeah, he was doing the woman voice. And you can instantly tell it's Jesse because he's talking about Jesse. no one talks about Jesse except Jesse.
Yeah, no one remembers the guy.
And so he's going through the whole thing, and and ReviewTech is finally starting to catch on as he's saying, I forced Ethan Ralph to eat his mother's ashes. Pod Awful made me do it. And ReviewTech's finally like, oh wait, what's going on?
I needed my mother's ashes to make my torta a little more spicy.
So he finally, Pantsu leaves the call, and Jesse PS joins the call. And Rich cannot figure out how Jesse entered the call.
How did you get here?
And it's the same call. The guy just stopped using the female voice. And he's going through and he's asking ReviewTech why he doesn't review tech. And because he knows nothing about ReviewTech either. And as they're going through there, ReviewTech was trying to say with Ethan Ralph that he raped someone, but he didn't want to say rape on air, so he kept calling it the R word.
He R-word someone. I've heard a lot of people say grape.
Mm-hmm. So Jesse says, "Oh, so you're using the R word. Do you mind if I use the hard R?"
No.
And ReviewTech's like, "Yeah, sure." And then he starts dropping N-bombs. And that's when ReviewTech starts waking up. and this whole thing was an absolute mess.
I don't remember who it was, but I think it was Daniel Larson. I could be wrong. But there was someone who was like, no, I remember who it was. It was Cyrax. Someone was restreaming Cyrax, and then he just started dropping the hard R and ended up getting them banned from their platform. Because he found out that they were restreaming, so he just started dropping the hard R over and over and over again.
Yeah, Ethan Ralph used to do that all the time, but then people wised up and started putting up signs of
We gotta do a video on
Adrian
Ralph.
Blair won, or Adrian Blair is some terrible insult on her, and Ethan Ralph is terrified of getting his whatever it's called, the order that he has against him with her.
We need to do a video on Senor Ralph later.
So ReviewTech is just completely out of his mind now. He has no idea how to do content now because he's scared to do it because of the trolling from Jesse PS. So he does a call with Emery Farms, who is an absolutely wonderful story that we'll have to get into sometime of a dent tractor. And so from there, he starts going melting down on a daily basis because of Snort Hogan. And then, so that's 5 months ago that starts. And then 4 months ago, Kinda Sav, the tractor, enters the mix. And she has this ability with one single innocuous tweet to just start a meltdown that goes on for months. And what she sent him was, why don't you put some rope on your Amazon wish list?
Oh yeah, I remember hearing about that.
But the only problem is that you're too fat for the rope. And so he starts just going nuts on her. He starts digging through her old tweets. There was one with her showing like fish ravioli that she had just made. And he just starts going on about how her lady bits must smell like fish, and going through there, and just like, and how ugly she is compared to his baby mama, which is just ridiculous.
I have a real question real quick. This is serious. Do you think rope that you can get from Amazon would be heavy enough to hold him? Do you think it would be able to hold his weight?
Well, he'd have to know how to tie a knot.
Well, that too, yeah. He'd have to be coordinated enough. He's too high to do it. But do you think the rope could handle him, or do you think he needs like chains or a suspension cable?
I think if he uses a doorknob.
I don't even know where he would throw the rope, because like anything in his house is gonna break under his weight. So I don't know where he could even go to do it. A bridge, maybe?
I don't know. But he started like physically threatening kind of Sav, and she was just going on with the, I can walk at a brisk pace, and I can see my toes. So
did he say that, or did she say that?
No, she said that.
Okay, because I was gonna be like, liar.
She started streaming him every so often, and so that just built and built and built. And he starts going through, and he's just picking fights with, Dark Sea to Flow, and further fights with Snort Hogan, and that just keeps catching. Every time he does that, it catches PPP's attention, and then Kino Casino does another thing on there, starts digging through all the stuff of just like, why did he ever say this? Why did he ever talk about the Dicker story?
Yeah, okay. Now since you've segued into it. So he he had a story time segment on his show where he would tell really old stories. And he told a story about back when he was a wage slave. And there is this guy, and I'm going to just abbreviate it to the lowest that I can get it to, because he keeps changing the story. He worked with a guy who was possibly high all the time, like him now, ironically. And he called him Dickers because his name is Rich. So he called him Dickers. And he would sexually harass him and maybe sexually assault him, who knows. And this has permanently scarred him. And he was stupid enough to get high and tell people that. So now PPP forever calls him Dickers.
Like, why would you tell a story about being a teenager and having someone chase you around with a paddle to spank you?
Yeah, that's why I said possibly sexually assaulted. He said in some iterations of the story, he said the guy would like feel up on him too. So I don't know what all to take seriously from that, because his brain is so fried. Can you even trust his recollections in like extreme detail?
Well, I mean, he lies constantly about women. He's always talking about what a ladies' man he is, which is just astonishing. And now, recently, we found out that all of it was complete lies, because we had Becky Boop, of all people, show up out of nowhere. I didn't even know she was still alive ever since she... last time I saw her was during the Suzy Lou stuff, and Tipster tried to make her into a goth mommy.
I remember years ago, a guy who I used to collaborate with called Angry Chimp Show. He was talking to her behind the scenes, and he was trying to schmooze her up. But I think he ended up getting somebody. He ended up like getting a significant other. And then I haven't heard about her since. So I do know of Becky Boop, and she did collaborate with people I used to collaborate with. But I never personally talked to her other than being in like a fucking Twitter group chat with her.
It's like, of all people, how did she end up with Rich? For 10 years, they were dating off and on.
From what I've heard, we can't confirm that they even dated. Like, from what I've heard, it's like they kept meeting up and going places, but she's insisting that it wasn't dating. So I don't know what to take from it.
She's kind of been on and off about that, but it's like they never had sex. So obviously he never had sex with any of the other people that he was dealing with.
I can't imagine dating someone off and on for 10 years and not having sex with them. Like, that's why I'm so skeptical of them dating, because like, just knowing someone, I don't think that there's a girl that I knew closely for 10 years that I didn't have sex with. So I don't know how that could even happen.
There is so much weirdness where outside of the DSP to Vortex, the other people that are involved with him, there's something hinky with all of them. Like 8-Bit Eric is a loser. Jay Hooft is. There's always something really weird with all of his stories. There's always one detail in every one of his stories that never matches up. You know, he's never proven the thing with the computer with the keyloggers.
Oh yeah, I think he was bullshitting with that. So the accusation there is that ReviewTech gave him a computer and he had keyloggers on the computer so that he could remotely shut down his streams when he was streaming. And I don't want to believe that it's true, because that would have me be put in the scenario where Rich from ReviewTech is too stupid to be able to build his own PC. He's too stupid to actually run a tech channel, but he knows how to put keyloggers in. And Jay is so stupid that he gets a computer from someone he's having on-again, off-again issues with and doesn't think to factory reset it. I've gotten a computer from my at-the-time girlfriend, now my ex, and I still factory reset it. It's just the safe thing to do.
Like, ReviewTech did have a pet hacker, Shadow Government, but like Shadow Government, I think he was out of the picture
Way long ago. Shadow Government's been gone forever.
Yeah, so it's like ReviewTech had no one competent in his life to be able to help him do this.
Shadow Government was one of those fucking, I wouldn't even really say he's a hacker. He's like one of those dickheads for hire. He would basically just find public info about people and then dox them. That's what he would do. He would sign up for websites where you can get people's whitelisted data, and then he would just dox people. Like, it's not even hard. All the people that he doxed, I could just pay $20 and then get the same information.
Yeah, Jay keeps, Jay's gonna be milking this thing like crazy.
From what I understand, Jay built his own channel off of Rich's failure because Rich had him as an editor for like 10 years. And then he ended up firing him on his birthday and then refused to give him his final paycheck for months on end. And Jay was able to build his career off of Rich's failure. And I want to ask you, because you might know more than me about this, does he actually review tech? Does Jay review tech, or does he just do news videos like Rich did at the time?
Yeah, Jay just gasses on and, you know, does some gameplay, he dabbles a bit, and yeah, the only thing that keeps him going is just people who feel bad for how Rich treated him.
So he doesn't review tech in the USA?
No.
Damn.
His like he's kind of skating by on the Detective Ski isn't going after him because Andy and him were friends. And so there hasn't been really an organized push into looking into Jay. And I don't know, he's nowhere near interesting enough for me to look into him.
Yeah, no, he's boring. Like, he doesn't really do anything or say anything that's worth noting, and he doesn't even have his own internet presence. He really is irrelevant.
Yeah, ReviewTech picks, you know, the absolute worst targets for people who no one cares about, like side scrollers. Like Melanie Mac, sure, some people care, but not a lot.
I think he just played it safe, and I think this is a good way to like cap off all the Rich stuff. Is for years Rich just played it safe. He just read news articles he knew he could make fun of. He watched Phil videos without having to give any real commentary or actually trying. He just wanted to coast by forever and just do nothing and get paid. But the thing is, despite him being so lazy and despite him being so lethargic, he still has an ego to him. And that ego has led to what happened recently. So PPP and Andy Worski were counting down to the point where his channel would go below 1 million subscribers. And Review Tech was so upset about this that he has decided to delete his channel before that could ever happen. So he deletes his channel, and his big cope is that he was making only $600 off of the channel. This is a channel he hadn't uploaded to in months and was only posting shorts to, which do not earn you that much money. And he gave up $600 a month of guaranteed income despite PPP. And one thing that people don't understand is because they haven't done this. I have deleted YouTube channels before, and when I did delete my YouTube channel, there are two options that you can click. I don't know if it's been updated or if it's different now. There is delete for now, which you have 60 days to log back in to get your channel back up, and it just basically blacklists your channel for a short period. Or delete permanently, which will go through and delete all your videos and it can't be undone. He must have, if they didn't change how the system works, which I did this 2 years ago, he must have accidentally clicked the wrong one because he was so high. Like, that is the only conclusion I can come to, unless YouTube changed its system. So, he
claims that someone in his real life saw his YouTube channel and they were upset by the comments that were on his
He's
videos.
lying. It was the spite PPP. If he was smart, he would have sold the channel to PPP, and he would have continued uploading for like a month or two, make the transition official, and then just say, I'm stepping down from the channel. No one even knows that no one even needs to know that you sold the channel. YouTube rarely ever enforces its TOS. You could just give him the channel, and then PPP and Warski would be forced to make tech reviews in Canada. So, like, that would have been funny. That would have been a good arc. But he decided to go spiteful and make no money. They offered him $3,000 for his channel and play button, and he turned that down. He had $600 coming in without even doing anything a month, and he turned that down just for his own pride. And that's the thing that gets me the most annoyed about Review Tech, is because he's a lazy bum grifter who ignores his children, he ignores his audience, he ignores everyone who's ever cared about him. But then he feels like that he deserves to be praised and that he deserves to be noted in history for doing something. But in reality, he hasn't done anything. The only notable thing that he did when he was in the DSP community was piss off a bunch of the DSP trolls and then get DSP to appear on Kino Casino, which from what I understand, the DSP trolls don't even like that he's on Kino Casino. His achievements on YouTube begins and ends with, he made videos 10 years ago and got 1 million subs. That is it. That is all he is known for, and that's all he'll ever be known for.
Well, he does have that backup career that's going to really catapult him into the spotlight.
Oh yeah, selling mixtapes.
Mm-hmm. And people love him. That's another thing of just, you want to really limit the amount of communities that you piss off. And he's pissing off hip-hop communities by taking people's songs, taking people's beats, and remixing them with his farts.
Yeah, and he literally
recording his farts.
He got told by one of the rappers whose song he remixed to delete it because he hated the song and it made his song sound bad.
Yeah, he's awful at it, and just and that's another thing that just loops back into the DSP vortex that he keeps getting stuck in, that no one wants him in, because there are a lot of musicians in the amongst the Dark Side Phil detractors.
So a while back, I was looking into making music because I was tired of dealing with YouTube copyright shit. And now I have been generating background music. You'll hear it in this video. That is royalty free, and I use AI to make it. Well, when I was looking into it, I found the same software that fucking Rich uses. And there is a good chance that he doesn't even make the fucking beats. You can buy beats or download beats that you can freely edit and modify. So God only knows how much of his music he even actually makes himself.
And it's a negative income.
Yeah.
Just, where does he go from here?
Only down. Like, I can only imagine him going further down because he has no prospects. Like, he deleted his million sub channel and gained nothing from it. He's on a streaming channel that no one gives a shit about. He's saying that, to spite everyone, he's taking another month off of the internet, which, right after he deleted his channel, would be the worst time to do that because he needs to put new content up on that streaming channel to get people to notice the streaming channel. He's just gonna further kill his views and stagnate that channel and burn it into the fucking ground. And if he's trying to do that, he'll fucking succeed. Like, I went out of my way to kill this channel, the Dylan Thomas channel, back when I was a manic fucking lunatic. And I succeeded in that. So if you want to continue ruining this channel and burn it to the ground, keep doing what you're doing, because it sure the fuck is working. Turn on your fans, shit on anybody who ever liked you, and just continue to delete everything and continue to go the route that you're going. Soon you'll have a live stream with 3 people watching, no one commenting, and no income. I don't know what job you can get at your age. Luckily, I'm young, so I'm able to find jobs. I don't know what the fuck you're gonna go back to doing, Rich, but I hope you're ready to be paddled again if it's Best Buy.
He is going to keep trying to come back to the DSP well, and it's never going to work for him because, you know, the number one sin in any trolldom is giving them money.
He's an A-log too. He is straight up an A-log, and he doesn't even know what A-log means. No one wants to team up with him in the DSP community because he's an irrelevant bum A-log who offers nothing to his DSP content.
Mm-hmm. His cope with us is that I only spent $400 tipping Phil.
You shouldn't tip Phil at all. I never donated any money to Chris.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no one should be a weeb.
People got mad at me because I gave Chris a shirt. Like, my argument is like, Chris wears the same shirt for months on end. If it gets him to put on a new shirt, it's worth it. Like, I literally just wanted him to quit wearing that raggedy old shirt because he had like this long sleeve shirt with like something written on it, and it had like colors on the front of it. I don't know if it was a flag or something, but he had that shirt on ever since he started going through his trans arc, and he wore that shirt nonstop. And then after I sent him the Sonichu Rose Chew shirt, he wore that shirt until it completely faded.
Yeah, I mean, that's good because you get to see the actual change that you made there.
Yeah.
You know, there's all the weens who throw money at him, and they will never get recognition from him for it.
That's some D-Stex level shit where all you do is get mentioned in the Sonichu comic one time. That's the fucking tier Review Tech is on. The most notable thing Review Tech got done with DSP is DSP going on Kino Casino and shitting on him. Like, that's it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, congrats, you gave him $4,000 to spend 4 hours mocking you on a live stream.
Oh god, I love that word. He got.
Oh, I almost forgot.
He got $4,000 to $5,000 in his arc, despite being on Lolcow Live, which would have given him $50,000 plus, you know, 12 to 20k a year.
Yeah, I was gonna mention that. We almost completely forgot about it. So before we end things off, Rich decided that when his channel was going down the hole, that he wanted to slowly weasel his way into Keemstar's show, Lolcow Live. So first he was going on there just gassing up the people who he hates, and Keem allowed him on the show because at the time Lolcow Live had nothing going for it. It was really fucking boring and I hated it, and it's still kind of boring, but it's doing better now. So they let Rich on because there's literally no reason to not let him on. And months go by, and he flip-flops between liking them and hating them. Well, when we're at the end of our story, he decides that he will join LolCow Live only if they give him $100,000 as a sign-on bonus. And
last I heard was 10.
no, I think it was $100,000, and he was guaranteeing that he would be able to make that money back. That he would be able to make that money back from viewer retention. And he wanted...
over 80 years, maybe.
He wanted something like 10% or 40% of super chats. I want to say it was 10% of super chats. So he wanted like a set pay rate, a sign-on bonus, and a cut of the super chats. And he offers literally nothing. They're already having to deal with Wings, who's a complete fucking piece of shit. And we're gonna do a video on fucking Wings. Wings is a complete piece of shit. Boogie is a complete piece of shit, but the cancer stuff made them so much money that you can just completely understand why Keem is keeping him on. Why would they want another irrelevant, lazy bum on there who isn't gonna fucking do anything? What would Rich bring to that show other than burping and farting and making fun of DSP?
They've already got Boogie there burping every so often.
Yeah. Boogie's burping, Wings is farting. He's just a mixture of the two.
Mm-hmm.
All the worst parts of both of them. So,
Like, yesterday, Rich said that Keemstar had hacked his phone.
everyone's hacking him. Everyone fucking hacks Review Tech, apparently. And Keem is tech illiterate. He has teenagers working for him to run all of his tech shit. Because Keem is completely tech illiterate. He doesn't even run his Twitters. And you're gonna tell me Keemstar can hack you? Dude doesn't even know how to work OBS.
I was on the Keemstar Show news team, so I got to directly tell Keemstar in a voice call that it would never work. That if he gave him $50,000 and just left it at that it would last 2 episodes and it would be them with funnels in their mouths shoveling in $50,000 of unchewed Wendy's chili.
It's just pointless
And
to
it got
have...
pretty close to it.
If I had it my way, this is like dream scenario. I would have it to be to where DSP decided to be merciful on him and got him and one other lolcow to make their own knockoff of the lolcow podcast. I don't know who the third lolcow would be, but I would love to see a rival lolcow podcast so LolCow Live has to actually try and make content. Who could be the third
my
one?
dream for it was that they would have to tackle real life issues. You know, to have DSP, Wings, and Boogie and ask them about Palestine.
My thought of LolCow Live is that it would be 3 lolcows talking about stuff in lolcow news, because lolcow is its own culture on YouTube. As someone who was in the Christian lolcow sphere for years, like, it makes no sense to start a lolcow. We're going so far off topic. I'll end it after this, but it makes no sense to start a lolcow streaming thing and then pitch it to normies. I get it that normies have money, but like the LolCow Live show has always confused me because the normies just want like Wings and Boogie to go out and do shit physically and embarrass themselves because they're fucking losers. If you went for like the LolCow audience, they would have been interested in just hearing hearing Wings and Boogie shit on other lolcows. That would be the more interesting of the content, is just getting them to cover other lolcow stuff. But the problem is that Wings and Boogie are too fucking lazy to look into anything. So when they were trying to cover shit, they didn't know what the fuck they were talking about. And the funniest shit ever, we should do a whole episode on LolCow Live as well. But the funniest
that's why I told Keem at the time was just that, you know, you're going to have to take over the show because these guys are lolcows. They can't produce anything. There's a reason they are where they are. They can't make entertaining content. You're going to have to make the content for it.
I know the
And-
third person. He made the best episode of LolCow Live. Third person to knock off LolCow podcast, fucking Ethan Ralph. Ethan Ralph, DSP, and fucking Rich from ReviewTechUSA.
But only if we give them uppers. Because
You have to give Ethan Ralph like an endless supply of tortas and Xannies. That's the only way he'll do it.
Because he's unwatchable for a lot of the time.
Oh my god, imagine that. DSP is the only capable one there, and fucking Ralph is zoned out on Xannies, and fucking ReviewTech is zoned out on weed drinks. It's just the two people like slurring and not even being able to talk, and fucking DSP is the only one running the show.
And Wings isn't paying attention.
Well, Wings wouldn't be there. I was saying this would be a knockoff LolCow Live.
All I wanted was a clip of Wings talking about Palestine. Man, Pamp, these Pastanians, they talking about being oppressed, and man, they don't know what oppressed is. I mean, my trolls, I'm the most bullied man on the planet.
My windy chili, it was cold. I can't take this shit no more.
My trolls got me fired from Uber even though I was eating the stuff in the
I used to do a spot on impression of Wings of Redemption. People would beg me to do it on stream because both me and him, I don't consider myself to be from the South, but people consider me to be from the South because I'm from Oklahoma. I can do a pretty good Wings of Redemption impression. I have to like pop my throat out a bit to make it seem like I'm fatter, but I can do a pretty good Wings voice. But anyway, back to the boring bum ReviewTechUSA. He doesn't.
So we're just going to talk about everything except ReviewTech in the ReviewTech episode.
He doesn't review tech. He doesn't fucking do anything. He doesn't fucking know anything about like current culture. He doesn't do anything interesting. All he does is sit there and watch Darkside Phil and burp and fart and play the annoying clap sound effect. There's no future for him. There's no redeeming him. And I wouldn't even want him on LolCow Live because he just sucks. There's nothing to go with. Like, he doesn't have his own, like, LolCow sphere. He doesn't have his own dedicated trolls because he is so fucking boring. He is just completely fucking irrelevant. His trolldom is being held up completely by Kino Casino because literally no one else gives a shit about him. 10 years from now, no one's gonna know who he is.
Yeah, it's like until like a year ago, like it was not a good idea to troll him because he was just so vindictive and just. I think another thing that really goes into being a lolcow is being completely ineffective. But that's the one thing that he was able to do was to ruin do life ruination on people.
It was just because he had that 1 million sub channel to lean on. He could use that as clout to intimidate people. Now he doesn't have that. Fucking idiot deleted it. So.
Because he got boring enough that he pushed everyone away. He changed his content to stuff that no one was there for. Like, his audience doesn't care about Phil.
I guess my final thoughts are RIP ReviewTechUSA, all hail Dickers. If you guys liked this episode of our show, hit the like button, share it around, and stay tuned for next week when we upload another episode. We're going to try to get these up on either Sundays or Mondays once a week from now. If they ever start doing well, then we'll do more. But I'm having fun with these, and I like recording them. Until next time, bye.
Dive into the chaos, here we go. Social media lunacy steals the show. Crazy sim just means wrapped up tight. Scroll through the madness every night.